Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 The New Order, Last Days of Europe, with me, Alpha Omega, and the Empire of Japan. So in the last episode we finished the first focus tree and we are now in the second follow-up, which is sort of a recovery one with very positive focuses. Also, we are amidst the investigation of Oh god, this one takes 194 days. I didn't realize. Well, but I think that we can burn the smaller ones, like the consolidated infrastructure, port construction program, and so on, as we're gonna pass them, because I would like to keep the economy flowing on its way up. On the other hand, I would never really like to drop beyond 200 political power mark, because we never know what the game will throw at us. Especially with the investigation now ongoing. The Kyoto reinvigoration. State GDP increases by 10%. For now Kyoto is over. Here there's Tokyo. Kyoto should be next to Tokyo. That's Tokyo, Chiba, Shizuoka. Oh wait, is it a bit more north? Confused. Somehow the islands of Japan and cities and everything. Okay, so it's way more south. Always confuse me significantly. Okay, so Kyoto is nearly $5 billion. So Kyoto reinvigoration would give us $500,000 in GDP. Well, on the other hand, I mean, it costs $1 billion. It's gonna give us an administrative office, a school, 2 infrastructure, and 5 building slots, but it is not an even trade. It's not even an uneven trade. The runways are fine. It's not an issue. Wait, did we finish Kyoto? We finished the infrastructure, so the infrastructure is not even needed there. Yeah, never mind then. Well, we have to investigate which are worth and which are not. I mean, in the end, we can take all of them, because increasing the GDP from which you count your base is always better than, looking at the debt, but still. Meetings in Shanghai. As they so often do, the trail was found far from where the investigation had least expected it. Wait, what? That should be where the investigation had expected it. The Home Minister, as per his job description, had contacts in virtually every branch of the Japanese government and military. Most rumors therefore made their way to his ears sooner or later. Loose lips in the Daihonei provided him with a rather peculiar fact. A number of Kenpei officers were on their way to Shanghai. Not only this, but orders supposedly from Daily agent had just been intercepted outside the city. It was simply too big of a coincidence for the investigation to pass up on. With a sense of direction restored, the investigating agents rushed to their new target. The investigation would look towards local officials for possible leads. A large enough bribe of a serious enough threat made all but the most stubborn of them comply with the investigation. Piece by piece, the trail reformed once again, and all of the Kenpei agents had booked into the Astor House Hotel. So Shanghai is somehow very significant for this kind of investigation. Well, it's Manchuria. Because we already had a couple of incidents in Shanghai, and Miles lived in Shanghai, so kind of interesting. Is Daily there? It was simple enough to win the hotel over to their side. A phone call from the Home Minister assured the Astor House's manager that they would receive a rather generous donation should they comply with the investigation's demands. Relatively few of the officers left the hotel for more than a stroll through the streets. More stayed in their rooms or gathered in the lobby to discuss trivial matters. Yet after about 2 days of this seemingly dull routine, the officers would one by one visit the reception desk and book themselves into the conference room. They would all be attending some sort of meeting between 2 and 5 o'clock the next day, and at least 2 unnamed individuals would be joining them. As the day of the meeting arrived, the investigation, together with local police units, stood ready to burst into the hotel conference room and arrest all those present. For that to happen, they would need to express approval of the senior investigation officer, who acted as an emissary for the Home Minister. Until he gave the command, the agents of the Home Minister would watch the meeting, lest they miss some important building. We need evidence of crime taking place. Arrest them immediately. Well, this one is tough. But I think we need evidence of a crime taking place. Letting them do what they came to do here will tell us more about what's going on rather than arresting them immediately. If we know all of their names, they're all from the Kenpatai, except for the 2 unknown individuals, and if whoever is leading this is smart, and if we really have that many people in place, it should be easy to catch them all after the fact. So we need evidence of a crime taking place, and I really hope I just haven't screwed myself up royally, because I very much could have. Okay. We really need to fight the paranoia and everything as we go. Please tell me that's how it's gonna work. Okay, so you lower the poverty. Which one will we take next? Fukui Port Construction Program. Title. Urban Investment Strategies. And that one was interesting. Yeah, Kyoto increases state GDP by 3.5% for 0.1. That is definitely a way better one. Miyazaki. Where is Miyazaki? Miyazaki. This one has barely any GDP at all. So what do? Increase the GDP by 5%. Okay, that one is not very good. Taihoku. Increases education effectiveness. That's a school and increases GDP. Taihoku. Oh, that's on Taiwan. And that one has a pretty... Okay, Taihoku is also good. So next we're gonna go with the urban investment strategy, and then we're gonna construct a school. It's super cheap. And once the Shinkansen is done, we might want to do something like the Dairen port increase. That gives us naval bases and naval dockyards and military base and 5 building slots to boot. Or this one. We'll have to see which one is more valuable, because both give us 7.5% at this almost same cost. Okay, so the observation continues. There's still plenty of time, and they are unaware of our presence. By order of the senior officer, the investigation would hold off on their strike against the Kenpatai. They had 3 hours to witness a crime taking place. After that, the officers would disperse around the building, making it much harder to take them in for questioning. For the moment, the agents and the Home Minister would stand by, waiting for the proper moment to arrest everyone inside the conference room. Observation continued as they were joined by a member of the Shanghai police force. The conference itself was proving to be rather dull. Although it had officially begun, the Kenpatai officers present were still idly talking among themselves, with seemingly no coherent conversation between the lot of them. They could only be awaiting something to happen that was seemingly out of their hands. An hour passed and still nothing happened. From their vantage point in a dubiously acquired apartment across the street, the agents could see the senior Kenpatai being to check his watch more frequently. They were overdue for something to happen, possibly a late arrival. Another hour passed, and the mood in the conference room was growing more and more uneasy. They had been aware of some sort of delay, but nothing of this length. The conference would be over, at least officially, in just under an hour. All the agents could do was continue to wait. Okay, so now I'm happy that we haven't arrested them, because something is supposed to happen and we need to see what it is. Getting a decent amount of political power. The growth is really good. A surprising visitor. Oh yes, that's it. That's it. It was 2:45. Outside the Astor House, the agents of the Home Minister's investigation were still waiting for a sign of a crime taking place in the conference room of the hotel. A wave of discomfort was beginning to set in over the investigation, as they wondered if this had all been a ruse, designed to draw their attention while the real clandestine gathering went on undetected. This unease seemed to grow all the more real as the seconds ticked by, summoning up images of the Home Minister agents being caught in a trap themselves. Just as quickly as those images were summoned, they were then banished by an agent speaking over the radio. Wait, I think we might finally have something. A particular unremarkable man, who had nearly escaped the attention of the agent stationed near the hotel's entrance, had just entered the conference room. To the agents monitoring the development from afar, he looked as though he might have been just another Kenpetai officer, using a heavy coat and wide-brimmed hat to disguise himself out of the streets. Yet as he removed his garments, it became clear that he was very much not just another of the assembled men. His clothes were not what caught the eyes of the agents, but his face. That was a face they had seen before. During the very beginning of the investigation, a dossier containing files on anyone close to DEFCON not accounted for during the war had been passed around. The very same face had appeared in an old photograph of DEFCON standing right beside him. The man in Astor Hotel has aged, of course, but it could be him. A near-deathly silence took hold over the agents as they watched the Kenpetai calmly listen to DEFCON operative, as if they had all met many times before and become the most trusted of allies. Finally, the Home Minister's senior agent gave the command. Oh no, we have 50% chance that the brutal method and the swift response will happen, or a 50% chance that the Chinese agent escapes. Please wish us luck. If he escapes, that's gonna be a major issue for us. Oh, please God, don't make that happen. Don't let that happen. We really need to catch him. I bet a lot is riding on that. Debt to GDP 90.8%. GDP is increasing. No! Why? Why? Oh man. Oh well, a backhand blow from the game. The arrests were carried out quickly, perhaps too quickly. The agents of the Home Minister, together with the Shanghai police, made their way into the first-story conference room, where they found all of the Kenpetai agents still seated. However, the agents just caught sight of the Chinese contact turning a corner down the hallway. He could only be heading to the emergency exits. While the police were left to deal with the men in the conference room, two agents pursued the Chinese contact down the hall. By the time they had managed to turn the corner, he had already made his way through the emergency exit. The alarm connected to the door now blared through the hallway, causing a panicked wave of hotel guests to exit their rooms. The agents were forced to shove their way past as dozens of guests tried to rush towards the exits. After barging their way through, the agents were greeted by the sight of two of their own at the bottom of the spiral staircase. They had seen the contact for a split second before he had disappeared back into the hotel through the first-story door. Blocked by the mass of guests descending the stairs at the same time, the agents waiting below had no chance to fire upon him. Entering the hotel once again, the now four agents followed the trail of open doors. With no rooms on these floors, he could only have attempted to leave through another fire escape, the main entrance of or a staff entrance. Yet these paths would have at this point been blocked off to him. Any attempt would have resulted in arrest or death. The contact trail did not seem to lead him towards said dead ends, instead heading for... As the agents burst through the swinging double doors of the delivery bay, they caught sight of the contact driving off in one of the vans that had been halfway through unloading ingredients for the evening meals. By the time anyone had a gun in hand, he was totally out of reach, the sounds of serving van echoing through the busy streets of Shanghai. Partial success will have to suffice. God damn it. God damn it. We were so close. Oh. I mean, we did what we could, right? The Japanese collaborators are arrested. Enter the building, arrest everyone in the room. With that, the agents of the Home Ministry descended upon the Astor House Hotel. The conference room was quickly surrounded on every side. Had any of the Kenpatai considered exiting through a third-story window, then their last sight would have been of their mangled body being handcuffed by agents awaiting them on the street below. Not one of the assembled figures dared to take a second look at the windows. The actual arrests were smooth enough. The officers in the conference room quietly surrendered themselves and were handcuffed, saying nothing as they were escorted out of the hotel through a back door. The Shanghai police has been enthusiastic in aiding the operation, with more than a little contempt on display for the Kenpatai. Despite the occasional punch or bat into the stomach, the prisoners arrived mostly in one piece. They were to be isolated from one another, with each one getting their own remote cell. Interviews began shortly after, before any of the Kenpatai officers had time to devise a smart enough alibi. It quickly became clear that the Kenpatai were more than prepared for being questioned. They all remained calm during their questioning, speaking only to answer questions and always giving a succinct answer. As more time passed without the investigation being able to extract any information from the Kenpatai officers, the more dangerous their imprisonment became. Sooner or later, the army would get word of the conference having been raided and begin causing a serious diplomatic meltdown back in Japan. Time was running out for the investigating agents. Try a subtle approach or break them by any means necessary. Oh God. Oh my God. I mean, we are a fascist state. And they are military officers, probably willing to cause massive casualties to the civilian population, overthrow the government. They work against us. They're basically committing treason. So, in such a country, they would be shot. But do we really want to do that? But then again, this is a role-playing game. So if this was a role-playing, then break them by any means necessary, because we cannot risk them, getting released or anything. It's just not how it works. They will have to speak if they want to get out of this alive. They made their bed, now they have to lie in it. And now witness as we get a huge paranoia, loose support of the army. A conspiracy come full circle. That doesn't sound very well. Although recovering from this fall, the Chinese contact was still able to communicate through all the pain. He would remain bedridden and covered in a number of plaster casts. The contact would receive just enough care to keep him alive and slowly recovering, but not enough comfort to allow him to relax in the face of interrogation. Huh? While the investigation might need to hold off on their most aggressive and uncomfortable methods, there were still plenty of options for how they could squeeze information out of the DEFCON operative. So did we capture him or not? The Kenpatai agents, on the other hand, were left in their cells. The investigation had little interest in the mere accomplices of the DEFCON, especially now that they had the direct link to the man himself. So this is a broken script, I guess. Because this seems like we got him. By keeping them merely locked up and well fed, the army could do little more than grumble. They, of course, would demand the release of the Kenpatai officers, but beyond that were were essentially powerless as long as the officers were not directly harmed. Without any form of anesthetic, the Chinese contact was in constant pain. His broken limbs were suspended to keep them straight while healing, only served to drag out this excruciating experience. An anesthetic was of course readily available, as the agents were ever so willing to inform him. There was a catch, as expected. The anesthetic was available to him should he be willing to part with everything he knew about Davy and his connections to the Japanese army. He was asked to answer this on several occasions, but the agents would always be met with a blank stare. Even when they put just a little bit of pressure on his broken bones, they would only elicit a slight wince or twinge, never more. The investigators, although disappointed with the captive's unwillingness to cooperate, were still confident that he would snap sooner or later. The contact was struggling to sleep, and his eyes seemed dimmer each time they paid him a visit. He was growing weary, but that would not prevent him from being kept alive for as long as the investigation needed him. Time was all they really needed, anyway. Everyone breaks sooner or later. Okay, man, that's brutal. Okay, so we got increased support in the House of Peers by 2.5%. Administrative efficiency is improving, and political party one-party state increases, or effectiveness increases. With the worst of the Yasuda crisis behind us, the time has come to look to the future and begin investing in a series of small and medium-scale development plans that will continue to bring Japan into the future. Of course, due to being a superpower, we will be able to invest both in expanding our military and in civilian projects. The future of Japan shall continue to be in safe hands. So industrial expertise will start to improve, GDP growth will increase, stability increases, and war support increases. Let me see here for just a second. So we're losing 2.01. Okay, so we need to offset that and probably dramatically turn it around. And the one-party state, what does that one do? So we keep improving that effectiveness. Increases daily political power gain and ideology drift. Okay, I dig that. One-partisan state. One-partisan system. Okay, so if we increase the effectiveness, we get more political power. That is actually really amazing. So connecting our rural areas is gonna be finished soon. And we can take, what was it, the urban investment strategies. Increases GDP in Kyoto by 3.5%. I also wanted to check this. Can we... Yeah, that would lower paranoia, but it also lowers... It also lowers the support. So I can offset it like this. But the support from the Navy is starting to really hurt us. Well, hopefully this is enough. Okay, House of Peers is okay. Anything that's bothering us in regards to House of Peers, no, everything is fine. Okay, and we have way too many MPs to, for our own good. So wait, I wanted maybe even another one, didn't I? Because there's no point in us just doing one of these at a time. So what was the next one? Taihoku, Miyazaki, Taito. No, we wanted... wait, there was a Kyoto one here. Oh, we took that one, didn't we? That's the urban investment strategy. Yep. Taihoku School. What was this one called? It's Taihoku. Okay, so we can take the Taihoku one. Kanahoku, Taihoku. Okay, I'll take that one. Conspiracy goes full circle. We've gained evidence! Yes! Oh my god. The low-hanging lamp slowly swayed back and forth across the stuffy prison cell. 2 agents of the Home Ministry loomed over a single Kenpatai officer. The sharp ticking of a clock was the only sound to permeate the room, until a seemingly invisible mosquito began to fly through the humid air. Again, would you tell us about these recent donations that were made to your colleagues? The officer repeated the same answer that he had given them a dozen times before, that he had no idea about such donations and that he was uncertain why he was being interrogated in the first place. He finished his retort with a brief chuckle. One of the agents grabbed him by the face and thrust him to the ground. The time for answer is now. If you continue to fail to understand your situation, you will suffer worse by the end of the day. The 2 agents circled above the Kenpatai agent as if they were vultures about to feast on a dying animal. It would be simple enough for us to make you disappear. Do you think your colleagues will want you alive after what you have told us already? As if in response, the officer's eyes snapped open. He attempted to lift himself up but was forced to the ground. His eyes became fixed on the ceiling for a good moment before he exhaled. We're never going to find Dairi. We don't know where he is. We don't even know if he is alive. The report we gave you was an investigative travesty. Yet here you are, at your wits' end, looking for ghosts and conspiracies. He laughed, but a kick to the ribs cut him short. The officer sputtered on the floor before resuming. There was rage in his voice. Ask any of my peers these questions enough and they will snap, and then tell you exactly what I'm telling you now. The diary you want is nothing more than a story that we cooked up to cover our own asses. Now you have your answer. His final attempt to rise from the ground awarded him a kick to the face. It knocked him out cold. The 2 agents sat in opposite corners of the room with their heads in their laps. Heads in their laps. The ticking of a clock and the buzzing of mosquitoes flies in the air once more. They played us like a damn fiddle. So what, diary doesn't exist? Is this what they're trying to tell us? Is this truly just a Kenpatai and a military coup? So we have enough information about Miles, or Admiral Miles. We have enough evidence now about affairs in Shanghai we have enough regarding internal disruptions. We have gathered sufficient evidence regarding how Yuntong operates. We have gathered sufficient evidence regarding Daivi himself, evidence about Yuntong and how it operates. So the only thing we're missing is regarding the Chinese involvement. So, who is behind this conspiracy? Is it the Chinese? Are they trying to overthrow us? What's going on? That is truly bizarre. Proof and its consequences. Prime Minister, the Daivi situation has taken a severe turn, and I believe it is best I meet with you to discuss the matter at once. The Home Minister put down the receiver and prepared to deliver the news to the Prime Minister. He had been expecting an awful conspiracy to be uncovered, that the military was utterly compromised and poses to strike at the government. Yet now that he knew the truth, that he had been leading his entire ministry on the ghost hunt, he felt even more disturbed. There was no time to dwell on the matter, not when the Prime Minister needed to be informed as well. The office of the superior was lit only by the setting sun as the Home Minister entered, casting beams of pinkish light across the floor and right-hand wall. The Home Minister gave his best bow and approached the desk. Sir, I have finally received the reports from my agents. They bring news of a great but deeply troubling development that we could not have anticipated. Ikeda Masanosuke pored over the documents, while his minister could not help but watch the look of concern that spread over his face. Finally, the Prime Minister raised his head from the mass of papers. But this suggests that Daivi's return was little more than a byproduct of Kempeitai mismanagement. You cannot mean to tell me that we have been led astray by panic alone. The Home Minister seemed to struggle with bringing forth the necessary words before finally speaking. "I'm afraid so, sir. Our every investigative path has led us either to a dead end or back to the initial report. The rumor of Daivi's infiltrating the army simply falls apart when one examines the situation more closely. This has been a ploy to keep us distracted." It was the Prime Minister's turn to be without the capabilities of speech. He instead turned toward the window with his mouth covered by a hand, watching as the sun disappeared over the horizon. The room fell into darkness. "I need you to find more proof of this disaster. Raid every Kempeitai office if you must. This matter needs to die." As he spoke, the Prime Minister did not turn from the window. The Home Minister stood up from his seat, bowed, and exited the room. Prime Minister Ikeda Masanosuke could not help but wonder, have we truly been so blind? So what the hell is happening? Why did they distract us? What is the reality? What is going on?